Spiritual Teaching 195. Love each other. 1. My beloved disciples, listen to my teaching. 2. You are receiving my teachings through the human spokesmen whom I inspire. As you listen to my word, you recognize that it is filled with virtue, healing balsam, and regeneration. You can also visualize the life of a spirit in the essence of my word. 3. The Divine Master is pleased that you are listening to his teachings, but to truly please him you need to fulfill your mission and thus settle your debt. It is the same debt that you have had throughout the eras on earth. That is why, although my words are gentle, I am reminding you that you need to settle your debt. Thus, within the love and essence of my teachings, you will find a mandate and a law that you need to obey. 4. Your mind sometimes becomes confused, and it rebels against fulfilling that debt. This occurs because only the spirit is aware of your debt. But if the spirit chooses to satisfy itself with material things, it will go astray. 5. I want my disciples to have strong convictions and faith. They should not be like those who say they follow me and believe in me, yet regret leaving their material riches behind, fearing my divine path when it becomes difficult to follow. Some pretend to be my disciples, but have not yet become true disciples. 6. Do not expect to find this path filled with roses, for it is filled with thorns. It is the same path that Jesus followed, a path that leads to Calvary. 7. My word will guide you so that you will not stumble. 8. This is the era in which all individuals and all spirits will receive my enlightenment. The different religions and doctrines on earth will become fully enlightened. Although your brethren have not listened to this word, you will be amazed at their spiritual progress. 9. Pray for world peace, and be aware that my charity has spared this nation from war. 10. Truly I tell you that despite your love and admiration for my word, you have not recognized its true value. Future generations will become astonished with my word and will greatly respect and admire my teaching that will be written in books. 11. Those of you who are now before me are from different religions and were spiritually asleep. Although all religions represent paths that lead to the Divine Father, I have come once again to reveal the shortest path. 12. My beloved children, be content and live in peace. 13. The moment is approaching when I will no longer give you my teaching, a beautiful teaching that you have received through human spokesmen for many years. If you are spiritually prepared, nothing will surprise you, and the enemies of my work will discover that my disciples have an invincible faith. I want you to be absolutely certain that you are not alone. I am always near each of my children. 14. Today, a strength emerges from deep within your being that makes you rise to my divine work. It is your conscience that speaks to you. 15. In the material world, the law dictates how man should behave. 16. In the spiritual world, universal love is my law. This law manifests itself in the air that you breathe, in the planets that revolve around Earth, and throughout creation. 17. Everything lives in harmony with that law. The animals on earth live within that law, although they are unaware of it. They are born on earth, and they will die there. 18. Why does man, whom I endowed with intelligence, free will, spiritual enlightenment, and a conscience, frequently separate himself from the path outlined by my law? It is because some individuals forget about the Divine Father, whereas others have developed an erroneous concept of God. They have limited God under the false images created by man, forgetting that I am essence and power, and that everything in the universe is under my will. The power of God is manifested throughout creation. When man, in good faith, attempts to analyze creation, he will gaze at a seed and become truly amazed at the mystery of that seed. He sees it emerge from the soil as a plant, studies its different species, and observes that even though each species is different, all plants are nourished by the same soil. 19. The seed is a symbol of life, multiplication, transformation, and evolution. If one can see the image of the Creator in just a small creature, what will happen when one studies man, the cosmos, or the spirit? 20. Behold that there is no specific form when you visualize God. I am everywhere. I exist in the spiritual, in the eternal, and throughout nature. I am the life, the universe, and the light. I am the solution for all the ills that man encounters. 21. In the spiritual kingdom, there is a remedy for the ills that trouble a spirit, similar to how on earth man has remedies for his physical illnesses. If man were to carefully analyze the spiritual and material kingdom, he would discover the Father's infinite perfection manifesting itself in both kingdoms. Your curiosity and imagination sometimes goes beyond that which pertains to earth. You want to know if there are beings in other planets, and if they live and evolve similar to people on earth. Study and practice my teaching, and when the time is appropriate, you will find the answer. It is man's right to remove that veil of mystery through his own merits. It is his responsibility to continue along his path of evolution and to become aware of my will so he can enlighten his brethren. Truly I tell you that it is impossible for man to ascend to that level without stumbling along the way. For the human mind to grasp and to spiritually comprehend my teachings, it is necessary to ascend gradually. 22. That is why I have allowed man to evolve spiritually one step at a time. 23. Man attains enlightenment from his great audios and thus makes new discoveries that help humanity to progress. However, man forgets that all of his progress is attributed to someone that is much more powerful than him, and that he receives enlightenment from the Creator. It pleases me to see man progress scientifically, but truly I tell you that you should work more for your spirit than for your material body. That is why I am giving you a revelation that will help you truly understand the physical being and the spiritual being. This simple revelation contains the wisdom to help man live a better life. 24. You will not perceive that life with your physical eyes. However, you can inform future generations of these teachings. 25. Today, you only perceive wars, proclaiming that they are punishment from God. I have previously taught you that God, who is your Father, does not punish. Mankind is responsible for the events that occur. 26. What has caused the fury of nature's elements? Nature's catastrophes have been caused by man's lack of harmony with nature. 27. Man will realize that his spirit is subject to evolution. He will also become aware of his spiritual progress or backwardness, and will seek the means to achieve true progress. He will realize that he should not live only to satisfy his own needs, nor should he only acknowledge the material life. 28. He will begin to seek my law, the one that I gave to humanity since the time of Moses. Thus, through his own analysis, man will become familiar with the doctrine that I have brought to humanity during this period, realizing that it is universal. 29. My beloved children, unite with one another. Share this knowledge that you are acquiring with your brethren. Do not only unite in these houses of prayer, but go to the countryside and to the mountains. I will manifest myself in all places. 30. Man has named this age, the age of enlightenment. However, I say to you, do not refer to it in that manner only because of mankind's inventions and discoveries. It is an age of enlightenment because the light of the Holy Spirit has been shed upon every being, thus opening a path for humanity that will lead it to a more spiritual and superior life. 31. My present teachings will help future generations to evolve spiritually and mentally. Their ability to comprehend and analyze will be highly developed. 32. I have come with these words of enlightenment so you can spiritually prepare the new generations. 33. Study this teaching and practice it. Thus, you will have peace in your heart, eloquence in your words, and conviction in what you say. 34. Beloved disciples of the Divine Master, come to me. 35. I have come once again because you have summoned me and because you are eager to become spiritually prepared. 36. Humanity has made a tradition to remember those who have departed from Earth during specific days. Man has tried to imagine where those beings dwell and how they live. Man wants eternal peace for them. He believes that they are seated at the right hand of God, enjoying His grace. That is far from the truth. I have revealed the truth about spiritual life to those who have listened to my teachings. Although you will observe that humanity has many different beliefs concerning spiritual life, remain spiritually united with everyone. Be content knowing that everyone feels a spiritual unity. 37. The time will come when you will be able to open this book that I have given you and reveal it to your brethren, thus spreading these revelations among humanity. 38. The final destination of every spirit is to unite with God, after it becomes purifying and attains perfection. That is why I fill your path with enlightenment and give strength to your spirit, so that you may ascend step by step. The mansion that you will inhabit in the spiritual valley will be determined by your level of spiritual elevation when you depart from Earth, because the universe was created as a school of perfection for the spirit. 39. Once you have finished your mission on Earth and have no reason to return, your spirit will go to inhabit another mansion. There you will pray and work for the peace and progress of mankind. 40. You will penetrate step by step into my secret sanctuary. As your spirit enters it, it will feel a greater yearning for righteousness and virtue. This will bring the spirit even closer to the Divine Father. 41. Those beings who find themselves wandering and lost in the spiritual valley, struggling to attain enlightenment in a superior world, are those who cling to their memories of life on Earth. They still feel attracted to the material things of Earth. Thus, they have to battle between two forces which attract them, the spiritual and material forces. 42. Pray for those beings, for they have not yet acquired sufficient enlightenment and strength to separate themselves from the material things of Earth. Continue to pray for those beings. But do not be concerned with other beings who have triumphed over the material world and death. They belong to worlds that are totally different. The experience they acquire along their journey is converted into spiritual enlightenment, which they will use to help their brethren on Earth. They are your guardian angels. They assist you, and they work to help mankind. Love them and remember them. 43. In the spiritual world, there is also a large number of spiritual beings that do not know where to go, what to do, nor what to think. They are the ones who have recently departed from Earth and have not yet experienced an awakening of their spiritual gifts and powers. Pray for them, because your spiritual voice will echo in their spirits and will help them to awaken. It will enable them to discover the path that Jesus outlined on earth with his teachings and with the blood that he shed on the cross. 44. Although the world weeps for their loved ones who have departed from earth, there can be no mourning for those who are familiar with the spiritual life. Instead, they rejoice, for they are aware that those who have departed from earth have achieved freedom by having separated from their physical bodies and are in the path of spiritual peace and perfection. 45. I say to you, do not be in a hurry to enter the spiritual valley to journey along the path that will guide you toward spiritual perfection. One should aspire for that perfection while he is on earth. Despite experiencing bitter and difficult moments on earth, you have the opportunity to progress spiritually. If you practice deeds of love on earth, your spirit will begin to progress. 46. The material body is only a temporary garment for the spirit. The spirit will be given as many material bodies as are necessary for its evolution, experiences, and restitution. The one who still does not understand this law of divine justice is a beginning student. 47. You would not be spiritualists if you doubted the law of reincarnation, for it is a basic knowledge that is being revealed to many. This knowledge confirms the belief of those who have had a premonition or intuition about reincarnation. In this law there clearly exists reason and justice. 48. Whoever has faith in this teaching and arises to explain it will teach others that the flesh is only a garment for the spirit. The body helps the spirit to evolve, for it provides the necessary means through which the spirit can manifest and purify itself. The inner battle between the spirit and the flesh, and good and evil, provides an opportunity for the spirit to achieve merits. The suffering of the flesh and its unfulfilled harmful desires serve to purify the spirit. This experience, although apparently bitter, will help the spirit to attain enlightenment. I am not implying that suffering is necessary for purification. Numerous beings are now with me who have been purifying by love without having experienced pain. 49. However, it is man's destiny to suffer and to ascend the mountain carrying his cross until he attains his salvation. Although one may endure many hardships with his physical body, he should not despise his body for that reason. Instead, he should love his material body, for it reflects the power of God. Man is responsible for his physical body. He needs to take care of it and to guide it until I ask you to give me an account of what you have done with it. I have told you to love your physical body. That does not mean to become vain or selfish. I want you to also love your spirit, which represents the most elevated and noble part of your being. Your spirit is a part of the Divine Father. Although your spirit may be blemished or in a state of darkness, cherish it because it will never cease to carry a spark of my divinity. That spark is the conscience, which will always remain pure because my presence will always be there. However, if you ignore the voice of your conscience, your spirit will not progress and its arrival to the Divine Father will be delayed. 50. Although my words and my deeds may appear to contradict one another, there is no contradiction. I have told you that God is pure and perfect and that your spirit is similar to the Divine Father. However, when the spirit stumbles, yielding to the desires of the flesh and thus detaining itself along its path of evolution, it begins to doubt its similarity to the Creator. It considers itself unworthy and impure. Although the Father's presence and grace are always with it, the spirit is unable to feel them. 51. Work to help your spirit evolve. Why fear death? However, do not leave anything pending so that you will not have to return to earth to settle debts and previous mistakes. 52. Do not let a day pass without having done one good deed. Thus, you will be helping your spirit to progress. 53. Do not assume that your life is predetermined by God, and that if you suffer or are happy, it was meant to be. I have said to you that one will harvest what he sows. But listen carefully, for there will be times when one will gather his harvest immediately, and on other occasions one will have to wait to gather his harvest during a future lifetime. Analyze what I have said, and you will eliminate much of the confusion and misinterpretations about my justice. 54. Understand what I have said, and let there be no doubt in your heart. Behold that I will have to teach humanity through you. However, if you feel that you are unable to explain such profound mysteries to your brethren, I will still speak through your lips. Although you may lack eloquence with words, the greatness of my divine teachings will not be concealed. 55. A spirit that becomes aware of the path that it has to follow will no longer be able to separate from it. It will be able to depart from this world and enter into others without separating from the path signaled by its conscience. A spirit that is weak and unprepared will experience ordeals in this world as it will in other mansions. It will lack knowledge and enlightenment and be unable to ascend. While that spirit is in a disturbed state, mankind will be able to feel its negative influence. In contrast, those spirits that were able to ascend and to achieve a higher level of spirituality will leave a positive influence for their brethren. Those spirits have become teachers in the heavens because of their elevation. 56. Imitate the latter. Aspire for a world that strives to practice love and to get closer to the Divine Father. You were born from the Divine Father and can never be separated from Him. 56. Imitate the latter. Aspire for a world that strives to practice love and to get closer to the Divine Father. You were born from the Divine Father and can never be separated from Him. 57. I offer my grace to all spirits, but not all accept it. The one who is thirsty for love should drink from the divine water that I offer, for I possess an eternal fountain of water that will quench your thirst. 58. The lost individual should elevate his gaze to perceive my ray of enlightenment and use it as his guide. The one who feels naked can cover himself with the cloak of my forgiveness and charity. Whoever has doubts should prepare himself, and I will reveal my wisdom to him. If one is sad, he should come to me, and I will give him everything that he needs. Once he drinks from my chalice of love, his faith will become strengthened. 59. Pray for those who are suffering on earth, and those who appear to be abandoned will receive my blessings. 60. I am the divine word, listen to me. 61. Deep in your heart you have many questions. You ask me, Lord, have we not fulfilled your mandates? Have we not helped humanity? Instead of understanding you, are we confused and also confusing others? 62. No, my children, I am still here among you so that through my teachings I can correct you and prevent you from committing errors. Once you have become spiritually strong, you will no longer have any doubts nor be confused. 63. Spiritually you are no longer children, because this is not the first era or the first time that you have dwelt on earth. The light from the sixth seal, which illuminates you in this era, is not the only one that has illuminated you throughout your existence. You are spirits who have evolved, traveling through the long path of evolution that will guide you toward perfection. Therefore, do not become confused. You should rejoice that the Lord is among you, because this indicates that you are now able to obey Him and to comprehend His teachings. 64. During the first era, the people of Israel were held captive in Egypt, a nation where idolatry and paganism reigned. I allowed my people to live and to multiply among the Gentiles, to offer evidence of my existence and my power through a nation of people who believed in the invisible God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. 65. When their suffering, sorrow, and slavery reached the highest level, I made a man who was anointed with my grace and whom I inspired to rise from among the Israelites. I said to him, "Go to your people and save them, for they have become weary from their labor, chains, and humiliation. Rescue them from the Pharaoh's bondage and set them free. Take the road that leads to Canaan and guide them through the desert. When this nation of people reaches the land that I have promised you, I want them to worship me in a manner that is worthy of my divinity." That man was Moses. 66. How was Moses able to rescue a nation of people from the Pharaoh? Did he, perhaps, give weapons to his people? No, his weapon was the faith that he had in the Lord. 67. When the Pharaoh denied the requests made by Moses, which I had ordered, I demonstrated to him that my justice and power were greater than his stubbornness and disbelief. 10 times he ignored what I ordered, and 10 times Egypt suffered great ordeals. eventually softening his hardened heart and yielding to my orders. 68. Moses gathered his people and traveled across the desert to the slopes of Mount Sinai, knowing that on that mountain he would meet with the Lord. While the people awaited the return of Moses, he elevated himself in prayer to receive the tablets of the law from Jehovah that would govern humanity. The obedient servant received that divine revelation through his conscience. The Lord also prepared Moses to dictate laws on his own, based on the 10 Commandments, that would serve to guide humanity. After struggling and suffering greatly in the desert, the people finally reached their destiny, the Promised Land. There they built their homes, worked in the fields and gardens, formed their families, and worshiped the Lord. To fulfill both the spiritual laws and their material obligations on earth, they developed only one form of worship to the God who had offered them so much evidence of his love and his mercy. But their spiritual worship was far from perfect. Their offerings and tributes were material, and their sacrifices consisted of blood from innocent animals. They lacked morality and justice when judging one another. The law of retaliation ruled: an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. When a woman was caught committing adultery, the law condemned her to die, and she was stoned to death in the outskirts of the city. 69. Why did the Father permit this to happen? Because humanity was taking its first spiritual steps during that period. 70. Time passed. I accepted those first fruits from your fields and your harvest, as well as the blood from the innocent victims that were offered to me in the altar. 71. The traditions for those people were deeply rooted. Who was going to tell them that their traditions, their laws, and their form of worship were going to change? It was not Moses nor the prophets who changed their traditions and customs. Moses only guided them to initiate the path that they needed to follow, and the prophets only prophesied. It was the promised Messiah, the divine master, who came to awaken the people from their sleep. The divine master did not reject any of the commandments given to Moses. He came to eliminate the traditions and the impure forms of worship that were practiced by those people during that period, and to open a new era of wisdom and enlightenment that would change the life of humanity. 72. I did not change the law, only the manner in which it was practiced. 73. Those people had passed, spiritually, from infancy into adolescence. I then allowed them to taste some unknown fruits and also removed their veil of ignorance. My words were a single law condensed into one phrase: love one another. 74. I announced and promised that I would return as the Holy Spirit, because I did not reveal everything in the second era. Furthermore, you were unable to comprehend and correctly interpret those things which I had revealed during that era. Therefore, it was necessary for the Spirit of truth to return to give you these new revelations. 75. In 1866, my voice was heard for the first time through human spokesmen, and a new era opened for humanity, the third era. 76. The human spirit passed from its spiritual adolescence into its youth. More time will need to pass before it reaches complete maturity and its fruits become perfect. 77. The doctrine of Christ was spiritual, but man surrounded it with rituals and symbols, allowing those who lacked spiritual evolution to comprehend his doctrine. 78. You have entered into the area of the Spirit, an era of great revelations. All materialism, imperfection, and deceit will disappear from man's worship of God. During this era, every being will acknowledge God, who is completely spirit, and through that path man will learn to communicate with God from spirit to spirit. 79. Since I first communicated in this manner, you have tried to understand the greatness of this work, but you have not yet truly understood its greatness nor its final outcome. 80. Who can say that he truly understands this doctrine and practices it in a perfect manner, No one can say that. You are still far from attaining spiritual perfection. 81. My law and my work are symbolized through Jacob's ladder, which man gradually climbs step by step. The higher he climbs, the better he will be able to perceive the Divine Father. 82. As the year 1948 begins, the first of the final 3 years in which I will manifest myself in this manner, I want you to arise and to be strong. Practice those things that the Divine Master has taught you. Thus, on the day of my departure, you will be able to offer the Lord tribute through your spiritual elevation and love. It will be a worthy tribute to God who has come for a long period during this era to give you his teachings. 83. If you achieve that preparation, I will summon the world. Through your words and deeds you will be able to offer testimony to others that I was among you and spoke to you through human spokesmen. 84. Are you aware of the obstacles? Have you not seen the darkness that surrounds you, sometimes preventing you from perceiving the light from the shining candlestick, which represents the sixth seal? 85. Do not disobey the human laws. Heal those who are ill with prayer, with my word, and with my healing balsam. A new era of spirituality and virtuous deeds opens before you. Scientists will not ridicule you. Human justice will not penalize you. And religions will acknowledge your spiritual power. 86. You introduce symbols into your worship, but you need to separate yourself from them because that form of worship belongs to the past. The way to worship now and in the future is to communicate with God from your spirit to his spirit. 87. The moment of my departure is approaching. Although it has been quiet during my manifestation in this era, after I depart, the news of my arrival will spread throughout the world. People from everywhere will come with curiosity to examine those places where the Lord manifested himself. They will ask questions about the human spokesman and about the books that were written. When these people arrive, how will you welcome them? Do not present yourselves disunited or in a state of disharmony. Do not present a home that is filled with quarrels, a matrimony without love, or children who are disobedient and disrespectful. Do not cause disappointment by having failed to fulfill your spiritual and material responsibilities. What would those individuals think if they discovered that you lack spiritual elevation? How would they react if they found you practicing fanaticism and idolatry? 88. Be aware, my people, that the time is approaching when false prophets, false Christs, new churches, and new workers will appear. Therefore, you need to be alert and to pray. 89. Fulfill everything that the Father has asked you to do, for his justice is near at hand. This is not a threat nor a sentence, only a warning. Remember that my justice is loving and perfect. My peace be with you.